Hey everybody, Billy Rainford from Direct Motocross here with another Zoom video interview. This time we got a treat. We got a guy, he's announced his retirement. You know him, you love him. He's a six-time champ. I've got Colton Facciotti here with us. Colton, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks. Glad to be on.
Are you just saying that?
Well, it gives me something to do. Gets me away from the kids for a little bit.
Okay. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Because we got a lot of stuff to go over. I mentioned, well, I talked to you before, and obviously with you retiring as six-time champ and everything, I wanted to do kind of something special. And I had a plan that I was going to have a video. You and I were going to stand at the starting gate at Gopher Dunes. We were going to leave the gate walking and talking. We were going to start at the beginning. We were going to do a loop of Gopher Dunes and end up in the shop where you are now working. And that kind of would have been your whole life sort of thing. But coronavirus has put an end to that, so we can't actually get together. So I appreciate you doing this, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So how you feeling?
Good. Just been relaxing and enjoying the time with kids and stuff, and getting some few chores here and there done. And yeah, haven't been doing too much really. Just I don't know. It's been pretty crazy with all this going on, and everybody's going crazy in here now. So it's I'm ready for it to be over.
I like how you've gone to a haircut that can be done in-house.
Well, yeah, there's a bit of a backstory to that. So basically, my wife thought it would be good to get some clippers and cut Keegan's hair. So she did the 8 on top or whatever, and then the 2 or the 3 on the sides, and looked good, looked all right. And then my daughter got super pissed off that she didn't get to help cut his hair. So I was like, all right, just take the longest clipper and start clipping my hair. What could go wrong, right? Anyways, she picks up the hair clipper, turns it upside down right away, right off the top, and it just goes like basically to the skin. So at that point, I was like, well, might as well just shave her all off. I can kind of look like Billy then, and all's good.
You got a ways to go.
Yeah.
You got to take the guard off and then go for the straight razor to get the full wood here, the whole effect here. But okay, well, hey, I like it. It looks good. It was good. It'd be good for racing too. Is it, I thought maybe you're coming back or something, but I guess you could say that since we don't seem to be racing right now. Oh yeah, I was coming back.
Yeah, maybe if there's only like 1 or 2 rounds, I could probably make a comeback for
that. All right, Cole. Well, we're gonna play a bit of This Is Your Life, man. I mean, because you got obviously a pretty storied career. You had all kinds of. You've been everywhere. You've done almost everything. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. Fortunately, we're not going to run out of tape, so we're good. We can talk about all kinds of stuff. So we can tangent off and talk about all kinds of stuff. But I've got a bit of an outline here that I want to cover for sure. We had a couple mail-in questions as well. So we're going to start off at young Colton. So this is chapter 1. Chapter 1, young Colton. Where? I know where you're from, but everything. But tell us where you're from and everything.
So I grew up in BC. Throughout Langley, Aldergrove, basically started riding out there and kind of moved out this way later on in life.
Right. Okay, now, like back in the day, I always say Aldergrove. Was it? That's because I just talked to Kyle Beaton too, and he was talking about you guys are twins. So.
Yeah, we had some good battles growing up. We pretty much went through all the classes together, so that was kind of the rivalry there between us two. I was kind of always a bit of ahead of him because I was a little bit taller, so I was always kind of moving up to the bigger bike a little bit quicker than him. But we had some good, fun battles. I enjoyed that.
Right. Yeah, I talked to him about that for sure. And he mentioned obviously you grew a little more than he did. But okay, so but go right back to the beginning here. How? I don't think your parents were riders. How did you get into the sport in the first place?
No, my parents didn't ride or anything like that. My cousin actually raced, and just my parents took me to one of his, I think it was an arena cross race, actually. I don't know where exactly it was. I can't remember, but I was just kind of mesmerized by it and wanted a dirt bike from there on out. And next thing I knew, at Christmas, I uncovered it was a Honda Z50 in the backyard there. I took off the tarp, and there I go. I'm picking my nose, and I'm already on camera. Yeah, uncovered a bike, and yeah, pretty much been riding ever since.
Nice. So you had the classic come down. Was that like the last thing? Is, oh, look, there's one more gift here for Colton.
Uh, I can't really memorize, like, I don't really remember it to the T, but I just knew I was pretty stoked, and
You're killing
I
your
think,
parents here. Come on, that was a big surprise.
yeah, and I just what I remember from there is just ripping the lawn up around the house. We had like just maybe like a little half-acre lot or whatever, and I wore tire tracks around the whole house and shop.
Awesome. Hey, I forgot to mention off the top that this interview is brought to you by Sneaky Weasel Beer. So thanks to Sneaky Weasel Beer, and that's the sound right there. Cheers, Colton. I'm not sure what you have there for a beverage.
I thought you were supplying the bevies.
Go check the mailbox.
Scared of the coronavirus, so I can't touch them.
Yeah, true. Good point. Okay, so you got the start from a cousin. You went to the races, fell in love with it as every kid would when you see it and stuff like that. Now I've seen you with a few different numbers. I mean, back in the day, 361 and everything. But what was your first race number, and is there a story behind it?
There is a bit of a story to it, actually, kind of a funny one. So I went to, I think it was my first race, or we were getting numbers for my first race, and my dad ended up picking 89 because that was the year that I was born. What he thought I was born, which I'm actually born in 88. So it's kind of a funny story there. So he was, I mean, I guess I forget when my kids were born half the time too. So I don't really blame him for that.
That's funny. See, I remember that because last time we did, I think the Friday update interview with you, you told that story. So that's pretty. I just like a lot of them were just my dad wrote this number, blah blah blah. But stories like that are great. And by the way, 88 and 89 are two ugly numbers, I think.
Oh, come on.
I think we had that conversation too.
Probably.
Hey, but so back in the day, like when you were a little kid, what was young Colton Facciotti like in school? Like, were you a student?
Probably got in trouble here and there, but I feel like I was a pretty good kid. I started off as a good kid.
Yeah.
Turned a little bit bad, but you know, I think every kid kind of goes through that stage, right?
Yeah. See, I know you're kind of. I mean, once you get to know you, you're not quiet, but you're kind of quiet. You're a bit shy and kind of thing. And sometimes those kids are troublemakers in school. That's what I'm kind of picturing you as, a bit of a, throwing in the jabs here and there, getting moved to the front of the class.
No, I was pretty well behaved. There was the odd time I had to sit in the hallway or whatever, but I think it just, I don't know. I think all my teachers usually just were like, they always thought that I didn't really put the effort into like my schoolwork and stuff because I always just wanted to ride. So I'd like do all my schoolwork really quick, so I didn't have any homework. So I basically never had homework. So the teachers would always be like, "Yeah, Colton just needs to apply himself, and he could do so much better." But yeah, that's pretty much my story on school, I guess you could say.
Okay. Now, what like back when you were a little kid, and I mean, what years are we talking here? Because I guess who's your motocross hero when you were a little kid?
Growing up, it probably would have been like Darcy Lange, JSR, Blair Morgan, those guys.
All Canadians. You didn't mention an American.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I wasn't really into the U.S. thing. Well, I guess probably McGrath would have been the other big one, the big U.S. guy that I was kind of into. But yeah, mostly those guys, I guess you could say.
Okay, now I kind of asked that too because I mean over the years we always kind of rib you about the elbows in kind of thing. I was wondering if there was a rider like that, or because sometimes when you like talk to a guy like Chris Pomeroy who had Kevin Moore teach him to ride like this, so Pomeroy's elbows are always like this, and you tended to be a little more elbows in. I was wondering if there was someone that you wrote, or that's just natural, just what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of where I like my levers and stuff. Like I always found that like if I put my levers down, I almost seemed to get like arm pump and just felt uncomfortable on the bike. So I just kind of always put it where my hands were comfortable, and just yeah. I was pretty stubborn, I guess you could say. So I didn't really take too many tips from other people, especially when I was younger.
Did you have like a riding coach and stuff like that? Try to change the way you rode, or you just did your own?
I'm sure I did. Like my dad got me some lessons with what's his name? Jay Whipple. He taught me quite a bit.
Okay.
think what was the other guy's name? There's a few guys anyways, but I don't think I like any or most kids I didn't listen to well. I think it wasn't probably until the Blackfoot days when I got together with JSR and Blair and those guys where I probably actually started listening.
Okay, interesting. Now that's chapter 1 for my question. Now chapter 2, we kind of head into your amateur days, and I have to admit I don't know anything about your amateur days. I mean, I moved out to BC, and you were probably, I mentioned to Kyle Beaton there when we were talking that I went to a Tawasin race one time, and I was just amazed at the two. I think it was him and Brady maybe on 60s. Maybe you were there too. Maybe it was you I was watching, but I don't really remember. Like back in the day, like were you like a little prodigy kind of thing back in the day? I mean, we have to assume you went pro at 14, so I'm assuming things happen fast.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of always the fastest one, I think, and I always tended to like move up to the next class as early as I could just to get more competition and stuff like that. And we did a lot of races in the States as well, or just across the border. We didn't travel too far or anything, but there was a pretty cool track that was like 3 or 4 hours from our place called Woodlands, and we could ride there pretty much all year round. They had a pretty good series there and changed up the track. It was probably one of the funnest tracks I've been to just because it was so different every time you went. It had like a bunch of different ways you could go, and they would change up the track every time, so it was pretty cool. But and that's kind of the reason why we would go down there, is just to get a little bit more competition from those guys down there, because there was quite a bit more faster guys down there. So yeah, but at the same time, there we rode as much as we could in Canada too, because it was, that's where we're from, and lots of local races and stuff. And I mean, it gets expensive traveling to all those races too, right? Like we didn't go down to, like I've never done Loretta's, or I did do big races that I did was the World Minis. We went there pretty much every year. We kind of made like a little vacation out of it. So that was probably one of the funnest races too.
Well, I got to ask you about that then. World Minis in Las Vegas, we're talking here. What class were you riding, and what were some of your results there? Who were you up against? Like, who'd you come up through? Like, who were the hot shots?
I don't really remember too much, really. I know one year I was battling with Alessi. I think it was on 50s, which I think I beat him a race or two, and then I think I had a bad qualifier, so I didn't do very good in the overall, because that's how it worked, was you had to have a good qualifier and it counted as your points, blah blah blah. But there was always some pretty quick guys there, but that's the only real big name that I can kind of think of.
Okay, now if we go back like over the history books and stuff, did you have any titles and things like that, or at those?
Down there?
Yeah, like the World Minis. Did you grab any there or no?
I think my best was a third or a second. I don't think I ever got a win. Okay,
now I talked to some of the guys from Washington State. Like when we do our Friday updates, sometimes over the years they've had numbers, the top 52, so they get a week dedicated to them and stuff. And some of them do mention that when you'd come down from BC, I want to say in the super mini kind of years, 80s, whatever, and stuff like that. Not the 1980s, the 80cc bikes and super minis and things. But what they said, you were blazingly fast, and I think there's some really short video clips of some pretty good races down there. Now, do you remember going down, like you say, the Washington State races must have been some pretty good battles?
Yeah, for sure. There was one kid, Brandon Layton. He was kind of like, he was actually going to be the next, I think he was supposed to be the next Ricky Carmichael or James Stewart or whatever, and he was kind of always the guy that I was chasing. So that was kind of a good thing to push for, and always had some good competition down there. I think well, unfortunately he ended up getting in a bad accident, and he's no longer with us, but yeah, he was super good. So yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Okay, so you did now I'm guessing, man, did you even go to junior? You went up to skip right into intermediate and then boom to pro? Like how did that happen? Like take us through your super mini to 14-year-old pro kind of thing. How'd that go?
Yeah, so it was, a little bit different for me because I think I rode we had a 110 or whatever it was, 110 or 112 and big wheel 80 or whatever you want to call it. And I rode that. I think I want to say I only rode it a few times in the junior class, and then they bumped me up to the intermediate class pretty quick. So I don't think a lot of guys were too happy riding with a young little shithead kid that probably beat them more times out of 10. But it was good for me because it gave me a little bit more competition.
Right. I was going to say you're probably the most hated kid in junior if you come up like that and all of a sudden come up in the junior class. So, okay, then, now what about, intermediate year, your very short stint in junior, even in your super mini days, Walton Transcan?
Yeah, never really. I don't think I ever really had a good Walton on amateurs. Like, I think I had some good motos, but there was always, I don't know, I hated that place, especially when it rained. It was the worst. Like, I just remember dreading, like, the night before it's just downpouring rain, and you're just like, yeah, it's going to be bad. So, but I had a lot of fun. That was one of the funnest races going to, just because everybody was there. It was kind of a good event. It was a good event, good atmosphere, and I always enjoyed it, just sitting around the campfire at night too. And that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed most about racing dirt bikes is just the community and just going camping with your family, stuff like that. That's one of those are pretty much all my best memories of motocross.
Yeah, it's funny now. I mean, as you get a little older too, and now you have kids of your own and everything, you get a little more emotional and you start thinking about that stuff, and it really sinks in how good those days were, right? I'm here at my mom's place, and we're just talking about that. I threw in a 1986 video from Hully Gully earlier, and it's like, man, we just sat there talking about the good times. It's just, it's just amazing what you look back on.
Yeah, for sure, it's crazy.
Now, what about? Okay, so did you race? I can ask. I mean, obviously the things are all there in the history books there, the Walton Transcan book. But so as an intermediate racing the Pro-Am, what kind of stuff did you touch? Did you yellow plate it with the pros?
Was that even a thing back then?
I'm not sure.
I don't even know, to be honest. I know. Yeah, I know there was a Quebec round, like when we did, like when I went across Canada I think I was on 80s, or I think I was on big wheel 80s or 100s or whatever I was saying there. And I tried to qualify for, I believe it was Latuque. It was the one with like the start, and then there's a left-hander and there's a big uphill. Is that Latuque?
Yeah, to be honest, I've never been to Latuque.
Okay, well, anyways, I was on a 110 there, and I was in the intermediate class, and we tried to qualify for the pro class. So I did practice, and then a bunch of people got all pissed off or whatever that I was on a littler bike, and that was the end of that. So I didn't get to actually try out the Pro-Am on the 110. But I did on 125 when I got on the 125, but I can't really recall any races.
Now, what year are we talking here?
Oh, no clue.
Oh, geez, I have to get a calculator out here to.
Yeah, we need Galby in here.
Yeah, he's more of the statistician. Huh? I know. Yeah.
That guy.
All right, so now take us through the decision, how this all came up. Kid's 14 years old, decides to go professional. I mean, you get so many kids nowadays, or you don't want to go that quickly. Take us through that thought process, and whose idea was it, and did you have to, and how did that go?
Well, it was pretty much I had to, or else I wasn't riding in Canada. I pointed out of the intermediate class, so they basically bumped me to pro, and I mean, what else do you do, right? Like, we couldn't afford, like, it's not cheap to just go race in the States every weekend and stuff. So with Richmond Cowie and stuff like that, they gave me a ride to do the nationals and stuff, and we thought it would be the best thing for me. And I mean, I think it was pretty good. It was pretty tough couple learning years, but I progressed year after year.
Right, okay, now let's in your amateur years, what were your injuries like? Were you how were you that way?
I was pretty good, like, for most of my amateur career, like, up to, like, till I got on, like, probably 125s and stuff. Like, I don't think I think I actually bent my arm bone once, believe it or not. My mom always said I was basically a rubber noodle out there. But so I had some pretty good luck for most of those years and stayed out of trouble. But from like 14 to, I don't know, till now, I broke quite a few bones from there.
Right now. Okay, now I was living out in Vancouver at the time when when you were a first year pro and everything like that. And I remember I didn't realize you were only 14 at the time, but I remember there was all this talk about this kid. Nobody to me mentioned how that you were only 14 for goodness sake. And I was kind of one of the guys who kind of was, I don't know if this kid's got it. Now I know you've heard that before from some people, right? And it kind of pissed you off, and it kind of even drove you to even work harder, kind of thing, right? But the first, like you say, the first couple of years like didn't go all that smoothly. Like what happened, and how did the first couple of pro races go? We're on to chapter 3, by the way.
Yeah, they didn't go too good. I think the first race, or my first like pro race that I did was it was at Nanaimo, and I ran out of gas first moto, so that wasn't quite a good start. And just being a kid, just not really knowing how to ride the bike proper and stuff, and having bike problems and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it was pretty brutal, to say the least. I mean, you go from winning every race, being an amateur and stuff, and then going pro and getting beat and having bike problems and this and that. It's pretty hard mentally to kind of get through that, and it took me a few years to kind of get past that.
Yeah, and it's easy for somebody on the side, in your camp kind of thing, trying to give you advice, saying, listen, man, you're 14. Some of these guys are 20, have been doing pro races for 6 years. You've got 6 years to progress to where they are. But as a racer, you just see, man, I'm getting beat, and it gets pretty disheartening. Like, so did you get beat down? Did it motivate you? What kind of person were you? Because some people would be like, I'm out of here. Kind of like me. I said, I'm out of here and went to university.
I probably just made excuses and that kind of stuff. I was a pretty much excuse guy back then, but I don't know. I think it was just, I wasn't really surrounding myself with the best of people, and just being a kid, really. And I mean, I think that's probably why they see you move the age up, or have the option to move it up, because a lot of kids aren't that mature at that age, and I probably wasn't mature enough, but that was kind of the direction that I was pointed, so I kind of had to stick with it. So I don't know, I wouldn't have changed anything. There probably would have been a few things here and there, but I think overall I learned a lot of good stuff out of it, and made me who I am today.
Okay, yeah. So you're a 14-year-old kid, full support by the Richmond Kawasaki team and everything like that. What did you do for travel? Were you going back and forth? Were you on the road with your family? Were you on the road with like another team? Who were you? How'd you travel?
I think I was flying to some of the races, and then staying out with who I could. It would kind of depend, really. It was kind of cheap as possible, do what we can, kind of thing. But mostly fly and maybe stay out for a week here and there. Kind of what a lot of the guys do now. Kind of depends, really.
Right now, I mean, throw you under the bus here, but no, I know that you became very professional. A lot of kids look up to you and all that kind of stuff. But I remember when you were young, I hear stories that you're a bit of a troublemaker and stuff like that, right? So, do you want to tell? Is there anything you can say, or are you going to just plead the fifth here, or what? Anything you can tell? Like, you were a bit of a troublemaker.
Yeah, I probably was. I'm not going to deny that one bit. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
I don't know.
What do I
makes
say?
you tell the story where everybody had to leave because you were caught? Oh, never mind. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, no, don't go there.
All right. So, what would you say? Okay, so the first, I know you say you were getting beat. It was tough to come in. What's the lesson that you learned from that as a little kid, as a 14-year-old, getting these seasoned pros beating you? What was the lesson there? You think, like time will take care of it, or work harder, train harder? What was the lesson?
Yeah, I think it was just, just not get frustrated and just work on the things that you can control. And then a lot of that's just surrounding yourself with good people and good people that support you and that kind of stuff, right?
Right now, I mean, those are so in the Kawasaki days we're still talking about here. I remember I used to do the road trip down to Washougal every year, down from Vancouver and everything. And I've got a photo that I got to find this photo. I just love this shot where you're down there in the number 361, and you're cutting between. I don't know if it's Michael Byrne and somebody else, and they're coming up Horsepower Hill, and you're scrubbing kind of at the bottom, and they're both they're both like this, looking at you like, who's this guy? And you're splitting them. It's like talk about some of those Washougal trips and stuff like that. And those are pretty good days.
Yeah, that was actually kind of a different one because I think I was riding 250Fs that year, and I didn't have a very. I think I blew up, or maybe I was riding 450s. Anyways, I didn't have a practice bike or something like that, so I actually borrowed Pat O'Connor's stock 450 and took that down there and just decided to race. So it was pretty cool and did all right, did half decent. I think I was maybe a place or two away from getting points or something like that, but it was pretty cool experience. And that was one of the tracks that I rode from time to time growing up, and it was pretty cool track. So it was pretty fun race to do.
Yeah, I guess it's like Nanaimo, but with hills, right? Like it's slippery, not as tacky as people think it is, but sort of similar.
Yeah, well, when I first started riding it, it was actually pretty good. Like the dirt was pretty awesome, and then like I don't know, it just started deteriorating and getting like slipperier and slipperier every year. It seemed like, and yeah, it's kind of like a more hard packed dirt now.
Okay, yeah. So you did some of those, and I guess moving from how long were you with on the Kawasaki team, pro team?
Up until I was 17 or 18.
So like 3 or 4 years.
Up until 2006 was my last year on the Richmond team.
Okay, so then we'll turn the page here over to then. Is that when Blackfoot came to Colton?
Yeah, that's when Blackfoot stepped in and laid down the law for me.
Okay, now I talked to I talked to Cal Beaton, and we kind of joked about the seriousness under the tent and stuff like that. And now he had his hand slapped a couple times for what was in hindsight. I mean, those guys are obviously great. I mean, they're famous for having said, "Hey, we run it like a business. When we're not making money with it, we're not going to be around anymore." And that's sort of what they did. Like, what was the attitude under there for you? And did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I always thought. I mean, from like the manager aspect, owners, like they're pretty serious and stuff. But I think they allowed us to still have fun and stuff. But I mean, I remember my first interview with them. Like when I went and sat down, they were basically like, "This is what you're gonna do. This is your trainer. This is where you're going to train. You're gonna be here on this date. You're gonna be here on that date. And if you don't like it, there's the door." So it was pretty intense meeting, but I knew they were a good team, and I was signing up to do whatever they told me to do. If they told me to go jump off the bridge, I'd jump off the bridge, right? So it was kind of like my last. I didn't really end it off the Cowie days super good, so they were taking a bit of a chance on me, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to do everything that I could to keep that ride and keep going with my career.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and it sounded like you were going to get into some kind of an initiation story, like some kind of a frat initiation.
No, no.
All right, now who were your teammates with that the first year kind of thing?
The first year would have been, I guess it would have been JSR and Blair, and would have been Jimmy Nelson maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Remember when he got sideways at Nanaimo and didn't pull it back when he scrubbed and then landed sideways?
Yes. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
But okay, so there you are. Like I knew those were your teammates, so I was kind of bringing that around because when you're a little kid, your heroes were JSR, Blair Morgan. Next thing you know, you're under the tent with those guys. And I mean, talk about that. Like, how was that? Did you gel quickly? The competition side of it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty good. JSR was always like pretty reserved. Like he wouldn't really say much. Like he's got all the hot secrets and stuff. So I didn't think he wanted to tell me too much. But Blair was kind of like an open book, and I mean JSR opened up for sure, but Blair was always kind of the one that was always making funny jokes and stuff. So he was a good teammate to have and kind of keep it light and stuff. Just kind of bring the mood. He always brought the mood up around when he was around. So he was he's definitely one of my favorite teammates over the years.
Right now, I've got some old photos of course, with you with the number 10 on your bike on the Blackfoot team, and there's stuff where you're ahead of Blair, there's stuff where you're ahead of JSR. At what point did you kind of get in there and all of a sudden it's like, look, boys, we're turning a page here, the new guys in town, and what time, when you started beating them consistently or some of the good battles, how'd that all go?
Yeah, well, I mean, probably with my mentality, I always thought I could beat them, which I mean, I feel like you kind of have to, like in this sport, in this day and age, you kind of have to have that mentality that you can be better than them, not necessarily if you are. Is my phone?
No, you're back.
I'm back? Okay, sorry about that. My phone's on 20%, so better finish this out. Where was I? Yeah, so I don't know what I really thought, to be honest. I think I was just always striving to beat them, and I mean, that's what everybody wants to do now. It's just everybody wants to win, right?
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned JSR maybe not, I don't want to say aloof, but a little apart. I remember we all went to England way back, man. What was that? 2010, maybe 2009. I'm not sure when that was, but
yeah, probably
around there. I remember
somewhere.
JSR literally saying to me, "Man, it's nice to have a grown-up to talk to," because I mean, he's a little older. So
Hey, come on.
Maybe there was a bit of that. They got these punks here.
Yeah, they were my dads. They were looking after me.
How about that? You won a British championship.
Some Supercross ones, yes.
Yeah. That's what I mean, right? But yeah, so over there, like, when did you start going over there?
I think I started going over there when I was 14. I think was my first year going over there, and I think I went over there for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years in a row till they didn't have a series anymore. But I always enjoyed going over there. It was pretty cool, and I didn't really like the time change too much or the food. But the racing was always cool, and there's some pretty fast guys over there. I remember actually going over there, and my 250F, it broke, so I borrowed a 125 from some guy and ended up actually winning on it. So that was pretty cool.
That's funny. Yeah, no, again, talking to Kyle Beaton this week, we all went on a trip with Tony Lane. You didn't come with us. We all went, but although I didn't go to the mine with you guys either, though. So it's always kind of fun having Tony and Rich Winkler and Dave Hellier taking us around and stuff like that. Or well, they were tourists too, but Tony taking.
Oh, yeah. Those guys were a hoot. That was fun.
You ever talk to Eddie Remmer?
I haven't talked to him for a long time. I should get a hold of him on social media, see what he is up to.
Yeah, I did. I put a post of him up not too long ago, and he commented on something. Well, a long time ago. I'm actually going to interview Rick Hammer Jackson, Hammer Time, and he loved that kid. Just loved him.
Some of the stuff that he said.
Yeah, so I remember when we were over there, man. Colton, you were a big deal over there. The British people loved you, man. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I always had fun over there. It was some good times for sure.
Okay, now that's what we can quickly talk too about, since we're into the Blackfoot days. Man, Motocross of Nations stuff. What would you? I mean, how many teams have you been on Motocross of Nations? Do you know offhand?
I believe 5 or 6.
Right. Now, what was your best overall finish? Your finish.
My best overall.
Your best finish, yeah, in a race.
In a moto?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Whatever's the lower number.
Well, I know Budds Creek. I think I got 5th overall in the 250F class. Nice. That would probably be my best, I guess. I don't know what my moto scores were, anything like that, but I'm not too much of a guy for stats or remembering any of that kind of stuff. So I just kind of remember bits and pieces here and there.
Okay. Now speaking of that Budds Creek 2007, you didn't get to watch it. Well, you saw some of it, maybe in corners, but that ride by Ryan Villopoto, best 250 race ever, or what?
Well, yeah, he cheated off the start though.
What, cheated?
Well, not really cheated.
He was given the inside key.
Yeah, so like the reason why he got the whole shot was because on the far left-hand side, that's where everybody went out for their sight lap or whatever. So it was all packed down. And then the rest of the gates they tilled it super deep. So the guy on the inside had a huge advantage.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, well, I mean, hey, that's just a wily veteran using the knowledge.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, he ripped there for sure.
Okay, so Motocross of Nations, we talk. Your phone's dying here. We got a bit of time. But now,
yeah, I think we're good. We're good.
Okay. But now, now you did a short stint with the KTM guys too. There, remember, a lot of people. Every time I come across a photo with you, number 9 on a KTM, it looks so out of place.
Yeah, those were a couple of years I almost rather forget. Not that it was a bad time or anything. It's just a couple of injuries and just things didn't really work out the way that I wanted them to. First year was going good, and I think I separated my shoulder at the first round and tried to ride throughout the season with it, and I think we called it a quits after Go for Dunes or something like that when I couldn't go on any longer and just decided it'd be better off to let it heal and get ready for next year. And coming into 2013, I was feeling pretty confident. The bike was good. Everything was good. And ended up getting hurt at Kamloops there and breaking my leg really bad. And that was the end of the season. So, I mean, things can happen pretty quick in this sport, and they can happen year after year. I mean, look at there's been a few other guys that have injuries year after year, and it's just bad timing, this or that, and it sucks.
Yeah, right now is a good time to be injured though, with the racing on hold. So it'd be nice to get your injuries done right now. But you mentioned a couple of things. If I wasn't so lazy, I'd be putting photos with all this stuff when I put it up. But I've got photos, like you mentioned, your shoulder. I've got Todd Shumlet trying to stretch out your shoulder, and the pained look in your face there that year when your shoulder was bad and stuff. And I want to talk a bit about. I can't find any photos or video of this for my own personal stuff, but that Kamloops crash, that was a really weird, kind of a blind situation off that jump. Then you were down, you got up, and talk about that crash, because that was a tough one, man.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I just lost my rear end and kind of just landed and tipped over. It wasn't really that bad, and I knew I was kind of on the backside of a blind jump, so I was kind of helpless there. I knew the flagger had the flag out, and there wasn't much else I could do other than pick my bike up as quickly as I could and go. Maybe if I would have done it again, I would have just ran off the side of the track. I don't know if that would have helped or not, but I think it was Tyler came over, and he came over pretty fast, but he stopped just in time, but he hit me and I kind of fell over again as I was picking my bike up. And then on the second time of picking my bike up, Teddy Bear just bonsaied the jump and basically landed straight on me. So ended up shattering my hand and breaking my tib and fib. And it was just, that was the worst injury, just because I was sitting there and my foot was beside me and I was like, what do I do? Like, I was freaking out. So I was like, I just basically picked up my foot and put it straight because I knew it had to go straight sooner or later, right? So, and then the first thing that the medic comes over, they're like kneeling on my leg and stuff like that, and then they want to put me in a wheelbarrow to get out of there, and I'm like, whoa, like, it was just, I don't know, it was pretty crazy. I remember
bad
that. Memories.
That?
Why are you bringing it up? It's bad memories.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I don't mean to dwell on it. I have one more injury question. Actually, I do have one more. I have one more I want to mention.
All right.
What I always tell this. I don't know why I always tell this story, but I seem to always tell this story about how you went in, you went to get checked out because something you were hurt and you were getting checked out. Ended up, I think you were fine, but the doctors or something saw something and thought your neck was broken or something. But I want to say your mom said, no, that's just an old scar.
Probably. That sounds about right. I don't really remember it, but that's probably a story for her that she would remember.
Well, she's scheduled for Thursday afternoon an interview with your mom.
There we go. But no, I actually, I do remember getting a back X-ray or rib X-ray, and they were like, "Yeah, do you know you broke your back? It looks like maybe a couple of years ago." And I was like, "Oh, well, that makes sense. Why my back was sore that whole season, right?" Like,
oh man. Hey, I mentioned Todd Shumlick too. Like, how many years? I know he left your program, then he came back to your program and stuff. Like, talk about him. Like, when did he first get involved? And seems like I know him. He's a great guy. And so, talk about Todd for the training program and everything.
Yeah, that was basically the Blackfoot days. When I started Blackfoot, they told me I needed to get a good trainer, and I think Blair suggested that I go with Todd, and I've pretty much been with him every year. There's a couple of years where I wasn't, but it was basically the same program anyways. I just kind of did it on my own, but always worked with him, and he's always been pretty good. I remember St. Julie what was it? I don't know what year it was. Anyways, in practice, I crashed pretty hard and hurt my collarbone or my shoulder, and I told them, "Can't ride. Like, I don't think I can do it." And he got it moving, whatever. Yep, it's good. It's not broken. You're good. So I did like the first couple laps. I was like going backwards, and I was just like, dude, I gotta get going. So, and anyways, ended up winning both motos. Went to the doctor on Monday. Yeah, you got a broken collarbone. So then I think I said I would go for the next weekend, and then ended up winning every single round after that. So it was pretty crazy year.
Yeah, it's the mentality about injuries is so funny that you can take some pain until you know what the actual injury is. It's funny,
Yeah, and I think just because it was fresh too, it didn't really hurt that much. And I mean, you got so much adrenaline going and all that kind of stuff, and it was good to have somebody telling me that, it's all good or whatever, and just kind of get my mind off it stuff. So it's crazy what the mind can do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, now you racked up a whole bunch of 450 titles with the Blackfoot guys through those years, and then take us through the transition over to the Derek Schuster and the Gopher Dunes guys. Talk us through the transition there.
Yeah, that was I had a couple of bad years at KTM, and Derek came to me with pretty big plans that he had in store with Honda, and I was a little bit nervous at first. He was going from basically running the B team to running this A team. So I've been friends with him. I was friends with him for a while there, and we made a deal work, and just been with them ever since. It was I think we both kind of took a chance on each other, and it worked out for the best.
Right. Yeah. See, I remember the old days too, because I remember the first year, they were in Nathan Bless's fifth wheel. And then the next year I drove that safari van out west. And then the year after that, I think I drove their U-Haul truck out there. So
didn't you drive that U-Haul without brakes or something?
Oh yeah, I almost died in the mountains. No, the steering went out.
Oh, right.
Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah. Had the music crank coming down into Washington State, pouring rain, 2 a.m. I should have been pulled over because I was so tired, and the steering went out on it.
Oh God. Yeah. So they've come a long way, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, those are good times. But yeah, so then okay, so then you head into the Gopher Dunes years. I mean, let's talk about some of your highlights there. I mean, this is where you ended your career, right? So take us through the last couple of years, the highlights,
Yeah, I mean, it was always, I don't know, I feel like every year was kind of the same. Like I always had a shot at the championship, and we did our best every year. It was just, I mean, in this day and age, if you have something little go wrong or you're not quite on your A game or an injury, that's enough to that's the difference between first and third or fourth, right? Everybody's kind of at their top of their level now. Everybody's training. Everybody's got good bikes. Everybody's got everything that they need. It's just kind of whoever puts it together. And I think these last couple of years I've been pretty smart on what I've done, and the people that are behind me and in my circle. So I think that's definitely a big advantage.
Now I got to ask you too. Like I always make a joke. Like back, I steal Ricky Carmichael's line here. I don't make predictions. I do analysis, but it just sounds good. But if somebody asked me to predict something, I would say, hey, if Colton Facciotti's in a series, I don't bet against him. So I would always pick you for the 450 title, and I was right. I was right a bunch of times. So what's it like being the guy with all these people nipping at your heels? Like, does that get tiring? Does that drain on you, or is it motivation, or what? Are you like, oh my God, I gotta win this thing again, or is it like, yeah, man, nobody's beating me? What's the mental side?
I don't know. I think there's always motivation to win. I think it's always harder to win the year after you've won the championship, just because you're on that high and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I think I approached it pretty much the same every year and did what I could, and just, I don't know. I think the biggest, most draining part for me was just the training aspect of it. I've never been one to like training. Like, I don't just go for a road bike for fun. Like that's work for me. So I know you probably like to go for road bikes, right? Like, yes. I don't enjoy that kind of stuff. I don't enjoy working out. It's kind of more so part of the job. Like, I enjoy going for like a mountain bike ride or something with some friends and hanging out, stuff like that. But when it gets to the nitty gritty, I don't like working out.
Right. I mean that too. That you were always obviously one of the guys who was a naturally talented rider. You can see it in your style, right? Pretty smooth and everything. And sometimes that can be a curse. You know what I mean? But you managed somehow. You're mentally strong enough to say, I have to do this to keep performing, right? But so what? I also talked to you about this already again, but maybe tell people who are listening now that. Like, at what point did you know this was your last year? I mean, you had that terrible crash to end the year before. And I always say, like, man, that could have either sent him packing, or it's like, I can't end my career on that. So then you came back. But I talked to you and you said that, I mean, you told me flat out that you were over the train. You were at some point, you were kind of done.
Yeah. Well, I made the decision after the previous season that that it was going to be my last year. And previous to that season, I was like, I didn't really know if I wanted to retire, and I didn't really have my game plan set for after racing quite ready to go. So I figured, give it another shot. Let's go. And I can figure out next year if it's going to be my year to retire. So did that year, and things went good, and I figured I'd give it one more shot at the very end. I knew it'd be my last year, and round one, I knew right away that I made a good choice, and that I wanted to retire. It was still fun, like I enjoyed it, but it was just my head wasn't there. I didn't feel like I could push as hard as I wanted to. Like, I could see, like, there was like this one section on the track where guys were just going wide open. I was like, nope, not for me. I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I'm not putting my life on the line for that extra quarter a second a lap, right? So when it comes to that, then it's definitely time to retire. And I've done everything that I kind of wanted to do. And how's that sneaky weasel? Is that what it is?
Sneaky weasel. Yeah, you can't see it when you're talking though. It goes to you, but now you can see it because I'm talking.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of knew it was time, and I think I made a good choice anyways, and definitely have no regrets.
No regrets. Right now, I have to ask you: were you surprised that you won that 450 title again in your last year? Or did that surprise you? Or you said your first race, you said it was a good decision, but you had to be pretty surprised with that competition.
Uh,
I'm surprised.
yeah. I mean, I definitely prepared to win. That's what I wanted to do. But I knew it was gonna be tough. Like the talent that we had last year was pretty unreal, and I mean those guys were pushing hard every moto. They didn't give me any inch for sure, and um, I think just because I think I kind of set the tone the first few rounds, and I was able to just kind of maintain throughout the year. That definitely helped me.
Okay, cool, man. All right, so we're still in chapter 3 here, your pro years. We just talked about your retirement, obviously. Um, I was going to ask you. I got to ask you this: what was your greatest race of all time? I know you hate this question.
That would have been my St. Julie race where I broke my collarbone and still won both motos.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, I like that answer. How about your favorite bike you rode of all time? If you can say, don't you? Can you say?
Favorite bike?
Yeah.
Uh, my bike this year was pretty wicked. I would say that would be my favorite bike. I feel like the bikes have gotten better every year, so probably be my last year's bike.
Do you miss two strokes?
I do. I don't even think I've ridden one in the last freaking wow. I can't even remember the last time I ridden one. Probably 5 or 6 years at least. But I wouldn't mind getting an old one, kind of restoring it and going out riding. That'd be fun.
Hey, what about you know what we need? We need a lot more review on some of Frank Schuster's 500s. That's what we need.
No. That bike was scary to ride. Or it wasn't Frank's that I rode. I rode some other guys. It was what was it? 19. I think it was the same year that I was born. Anyways, the thing was just a beast. Like I almost looped it out. The foot pegs were like they were like slanted down, so like my feet kept on falling off. The suspension didn't work. I was like, oh, this thing is no fun.
Okay, well, okay, I'll ask you a couple of the best of kind of questions. Well, okay, favorite track you ever rode?
Favorite track? Um, I've always liked the Calgary track. Just I don't really like the dirt so much, but the track is probably one of the coolest layouts that we have on the series.
Okay, how about biggest rival?
Biggest rival?
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't really had any. Like I've had some, but they're usually just for like a year. Like I mean, I always had like a rivalry going with like Brady Sharon and Kyle Beaton and stuff like that. I guess that was kind of like one of them. Cole Thompson for the 1 year. There hasn't really been like too many like big like long like ones that have lasted a long time or anything like that. So I feel like I've kind of kept under the radar on that.
Okay, well, that's always a good way to go. You know, but speaking of that, how about there's quite a bit of like there are a few different camps there your past year kind of thing. What would you say like some of the drama I want to say between you, maybe Phil Nicoletti, Cole Thompson, that kind of stuff, like the group there. What was the whole like from your perspective, how did all that go? I mean, there always seemed to be something going on during or after a race.
Which incident are we talking about?
I don't know. Do you have one you could think of?
I don't know.
No, everything was fine from your perspective. I'm just asking your perspective. Everything
Like
was fine.
in general. In
Yeah, it was
general, or
business as usual, but there's a little more heated conflicts seem to be going on the past little bit than years past.
like are we talking this year, or year before, or what?
Yeah, both, kind of both. When basically I named the three riders, you, Phil, and Cole, kind of thing. There was always, I don't know, things seem to be kind of going, in and out, good and bad. No,
Yeah, I don't know. I think at any time when you put guys that are as close as us, that little things is going to happen here or there. I mean, that's racing, I guess, and everybody wants to win, and they'll do anything that they can. Some people want to take little chirps here and there or whatever. That's just how it goes, right?
okay. Do you think $100,000 prize that add anything to the mix? You think?
Um, yeah, I mean, anytime you add money on the line, it's definitely going to intensify those things. But I mean, everybody wants to win anyways. I mean, I don't do it for the money either. So, but it definitely helps when there's a big paycheck at the end of the tunnel, right?
Right, right. Hey, what year did you make your most money? How's that for a question?
I don't know. The
How
most money,
far? Huh?
probably. Well, I don't know. It'd be hard to say because there was that max money the one year, right? What year was that?
Oh man, I don't know. The couche-tard?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I only know how to say it in French. That's all I know.
that would have been Blackfoot days, but I don't know. Probably the last few years, anyways.
Okay, well, that's good. Sorry. And I asked that because as a fan, it was kind of fun to watch the drama. There always seemed to be something going on between, somewhere in there. So it was kind of fun to watch. I just was curious if it was stressful at your end. And you sounds like you're just saying, man, just business as usual. Racing is racing, I guess, right?
Yeah, there's always. I mean, there's been years that stuff has happened like that. I mean, even the year like when like me and Dusty were going at it for a championship and we're under the same tent, so it's always pretty crazy, especially when you're under the same tent. Even even this year with me and Mike going into the last round with only a few points apart, it's pretty stressful as well. And I mean, I guess I don't know if it's better to have it as your teammate or if it's worse. I don't know. But for me, it's just as stressful, really.
Right. Sorry, Mike was another name I wanted to throw in there for the drama side of stuff. Just again, you guys are all so close in speed and going at it, and it always seemed that something was going to happen. At the end of the day, there was always something to talk about. That's all. It was kind of, from my perspective,
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, there probably was. There's little things here and there, but I mean, it is what it is, and
Yeah.
that's part of racing, right?
All right, cool. Well, that's going to
Stop
end
trying to
that
dig.
What's that?
Stop trying to dig.
Well, you got to keep people. We're getting late in the interview. We got to keep people. Are going to be shutting off.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so that ends chapter 3. Now we're going to talk about just what you're doing now. We'll finish it up. So you have a couple of percentages left on your phone.
Uh, can I look?
I don't know. You're going to shut this all off. You're going to cancel the whole thing.
I got 8%.
Ooh, okay, we're getting close. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you kind of went this last year too. You didn't have your ducks in a row for what you were going to do post racing, and now this SSS superior suspension settings thing has come along. Did that help? Like, when did you know you're going to be doing that afterwards?
Yeah, I've been basically in 2016, I believe it was 2016. I was talking with Joe about doing some suspension and kind of put a plan into place, and I was kind of a few-year plan, and kind of have me do some suspension, and it really came together last year, and I've been working with him, going up to his place quite a bit and learning it all and going through it, and he's been pretty awesome. He's been really really helping me out with that, and anything I need, he's there to help, and he's basically been like a dad to me, so it's pretty awesome, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. It's something that I've always really enjoyed on the dirt bike is having a bike that's set up really good. I think I well, I know a lot of guys that have hopped on my bike and were like, "Man, your bike works so good," and it's because I've put a lot of time into effort into like just fine tuning and getting it to how I like it. And I mean, if you can make your bike work super good, it just means that it's going to be less work for you on the racetrack. So I've always enjoyed that, and to actually be doing it and tinkering with it, and doing testing and stuff, it's pretty cool, and I've been really enjoying it so far.
That's good. Hey, were you as tough on rear brakes your final year as you were way back in the day?
No, we're all good. We're all good there. Now Dylan's a tough guy on the rear brakes now, so I got to teach him. I think my first year Blackfoot, my rear brake parts budget was $3,200. Believe it or not.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been getting slowly. Every year I got better and better. I think this last year was probably, I would say it was my best year on back brake pads.
Now, did I hear stories like back in the day? Didn't you have to go searching different brands for different stronger brake pads? And so you're like just all over the place trying to solve the problem?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We would try every single brake pad out there. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of your SSS thing, for people who don't know, you're now upstairs at the Gopher Dunes shop, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working out of there, so I get to bug Diggy every day and hang out with Justin and the boys, and yeah, it's been good. It's
And
awesome.
how is business? How's business? Is there business now? Are you still able to do stuff?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm not doing anything, but I'm hoping this coronavirus or whatever gets undergoing pretty soon, and everybody can get back to their normal life. But just been I've been there a few times, just getting everything set up to exactly how I wanted it and stuff. It gives me a little bit of time to get everything organized, and yeah, it's ready to go when this is all over.
And last time I was at Gopher Dunes, you were out cleaning your bike and stuff, and Keegan was there, and you were trying to. I saw I saw the potential for a 50 dad there. You had to stop everything you're doing, and he had splashed your daughter, and you had to stop everything and start yelling at the kids. And
Oh yeah, yeah,
are you ready?
yeah, he's pretty crazy. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing him grow up and race and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to it. That's part of the reason why I retired, is because I I enjoy watching him ride more than myself going riding. So it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to the next few years going to Walton and stuff like that, and hopefully we can get back to these races pretty soon.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's always fun. Again, it was fun. Again, one of your rivals throughout the years, Tyler Medaglia. It's fun to see him at the races too with his kids and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool to see the Facciotti Medaglia battles go on in the future.
Oh yeah, I think they got a couple of years ahead of us, so we got
Yeah.
our work cut out for us.
Well, he's anything like you. He's going to be up there battling when he's super young.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Hey, what about you're not done with the GDR Honda Fox Racing team though. You are now kind of the mentor team guy. What's your role here as we go forward?
um, I gotta think of what my role name was. It's technical director.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. You figure it out. Basically, I'm gonna be the guy at the races, overseeing the guys. Helping them out with lines and suspension setup, all that kind of stuff, and just make sure everything kind of runs smoothly. So um, that I'm super super pumped about too. So that doing that and the suspension and all that kind of stuff, keeping busy. So yeah.
So you'll be walking around with a headset on.
Only if Derek doesn't have one on. Well, hey, are the riders gonna have headsets this year?
That's right. I guess so, right? Yeah. So we'll be talking to the mechanic. We'll be talking to the rider.
That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
If it happens. Is it for sure happening? I heard it. Like I'd seen a press release or something, but I wasn't too sure what's going on with that.
Yeah. The deal is it was announced. I mean, I certainly put out a press release, so it's hopefully I wasn't making stuff up.
I wonder if the riders can have like a mute button on there so they can mute their mechanic or team manager.
See, there's going to be the next question. Who's muting who?
Yeah.
Whom? All right. So what?
It'll be interesting.
We're in this coronavirus thing. We're all isolated. You're famous for being like a gamer. Are you crazy on the hockey sale? What are you doing these days on video games?
Yeah. So I've been into the hockey, but I was kind of getting over it a little bit, and I ended up downloading Supercross 3. So I've been playing that quite a bit and getting half decent at it now. I've been racing quite a few guys on there, so it's a pretty fun game actually. I'm into it.
Yeah, I played it down at old Brendan Goldstein's down there in Palm Coast, Florida. And yeah, at first you're not very good at it. It's a bit realistic.
Yeah, you got to put like 30 hours into it before you're half decent. So, and I probably got 40 into it now. So, I'm working on it. Work in progress. Somebody's got to do it, right?
Well, Hey, okay, so well, I know your phone's about to die, and you've probably got at least 5% of thank yous to do, but let's how about one last question for me, and then I have another question from social media that was asked. What, after all this is said and done, what is your advice to a young kid or a family, a parent getting into the sport? What's a piece of advice you'd like to, put out there?
Oof, that's a big one, like real big. That's a big ask.
Say, eat your vegetables. How about that?
Yeah, I don't like. I've probably been asked that question a million times, and I've probably answered it different every time. So don't take what I say seriously. I don't know, but I think it's just focus on what you can and like just do as best as you can. Really, like there's, I don't know. That's terrible. That's terrible advice. I'm
Well,
sorry. I
okay,
don't know.
when all is said and done, your career, your pro racing career is done. What are you most proud of? I guess that will kind of direct us to that. You know what I mean? Like you're always a guy, you're a stand-up dude. Like you know what I mean? What are you proud of in your career? Championships.
Yeah. I think I'm just proud of like how I've progressed as a rider and as a human being. I think everybody changes, so just strive to be a better person and a better rider, and I think you're good from there.
Okay, two thumbs up.
Sure.
Okay, well, hey, by the way, one of the Allisons, it was Jared Parker, it might have been Lori, I'm not sure. They wanted
They
to
all
know
look
that
they all look the same.
they do. I know
Or they
Lori.
both look the same.
Can't tell the
No,
difference between Lori and.
she doesn't look the same.
He wanted to know back in those the Blackfoot days, used to from '09 to 12 kind of thing. Was winning as easy as it looked? They said like sometimes it looked like you made it. It was so easy. Were those like some of the easier days back then, or maybe it was competition based, or were those easy days to win? Is what he wanted to know.
That's a good question. I think every single one of my best races, like there's been probably maybe, I don't know, 15 of them. They've all been the easiest. Like the my best races have been the easiest ones, and some of the worst races have been the hardest ones. It's just, I think when you put too much effort in, it just, you kind of go backwards, and sometimes when you just roll with it, and it just comes easy.
Yeah, I wonder how many other sports are like that. The days you win are the easiest days. It sounds crazy. The days you go the fastest were the easiest, which makes no sense really. But
Yeah, I think it's a combination of just having the right setup and right mindset, and you know, the earth aligning with the sun, and everything just working out perfectly, right? Like, I don't know.
yeah, and I remember you used to say too. I think you kind of said too. Maybe as you get older, it's harder to do this, but when you could just shut your brain off and just go, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I probably didn't think too much, but I mean, now that I got older, you think a lot more about kind of every little aspect, and I think it's good in some sense, and good in some other, or good and bad in some other senses, right?
Okay, I got another question here from a young child, a young kid out in the Ottawa area named Kevin Tyler was wondering, and it sounded like a bit of a loaded question, but he said that is there a team out there that you never got to ride for, but that you always wish that you did?
Oh, I would have for sure wrote for Kev. I would have. I actually called him for a ride one year. He turned me down.
Because you
Said he
want to
didn't
full.
have it anymore. Probably.
Okay,
But
there's
he
no.
turned me down. Let's leave it at that. He turned me down.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, he shot. Yeah, there you go, Kevin. There's your answer. You told him no when he asked to ride for your team. He always wanted to ride for you. Now, and someone else asked about. Well, I had a few other questions too, but I was going to save this question, but we kind of talked about it too. You want to talk about your 80 days back with the back in the day that you ripped back when you were a kid, but we covered that and stuff. But so I think we've covered everything. Have we? I think we've covered everything, Colton. I really appreciate going down memory lane there with you.
Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. I don't know. I'm sorry, my memory isn't as good as it ever was. It's never been that good, but I wish I could remember a little bit more.
Hey, back in my day, there was no such thing as concussions.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of those, that's for sure.
All right, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time doing this. Before we, oh, 2 o'clock. I think our clock just chimed 2, and it's 8 o'clock. But hey, before we let you go, by the way, we can all see that cool Blair Morgan Team Canada jersey over your left shoulder, so that's cool to see.
Yeah,
ASR, Facciotti on the left.
that's those ones are all from all from Bud's Creek.
Oh yeah, I'll have to dig out some photos of that then for sure. Okay, well, but then again, we appreciate your time. That was fun to go through. I mean, obviously we had tons of stuff we could talk about and everything like that. But man, yeah, I appreciate your time. And who would you like to? I mean, I don't know where you start and finish on this thank you list over the years, but would you like to thank some people?
Oh, I'll thank a few. Thank you for having me on. It's been pretty fun. Obviously my wife and kids and my parents for putting everything into it over the years, and obviously my team, GDR Honda, and everybody. Thanks.
All right. Oh, I guess I should have asked you about that too, because we of course have the photos of you taking a knee at Walton and proposing to Jocelyn.
Oh yeah. That was probably my most nervous moment ever. Proposing.
That's great. Okay, man. Well, hey, congratulations on an amazing career. 6-time champ. That's going to be a tough one to beat. I've asked a few people about, who's the next guy. We're trying to figure out who's going to dominate like you did. It's going to be big shoes to fill, obviously. So, man, congrats on an amazing career, family, and the future with your new suspension. So if anybody's looking for a suspension, go see Colton. Give him a call there. How do we get you on the phone?
I still got my BC number.
Okay. So call him on his BC number, get the suspension dialed in.
There we go.
6-time champ Colton. All right, Cole, we'll leave it there. And thank you very much. And man, keep in touch and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.